Hey, Andy, what's happening, man?
What's happening, man? How are you?
Good.
Appreciate you calling in. I'm doing this thing. I call it the local buzz in, since I can't have guests live in the studio. So I have people just call in via phone. I guess we're going to be guestless probably till I think like July, probably.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. How's quarantine been for you, man? Are you staying home right now or working from home?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've been doing that for years. So
okay.
We feel thankful to be in that position for sure. But
absolutely, man. That's the thing, too. It's like if you're lucky enough to be able to do that. I'm lucky that I'm up here. I'm kind of running everything right now. I'm running all the stations, and we're doing like one person in the building at a time. So I feel really thankful that I have this kind of a job. Talking to John Davis of Lisa Memory, Superdrag, Epic Ditch, also a solo artist as well. We should definitely include that as well. I was thinking back, John, the first time you and I ever met, I believe, was 2009, and we played a show together. You probably don't remember this, but we played a show together up in Chicago. I think it was for Ribco, the Day Trotter place up there.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that night. That's back when you was the Superdrag reunion years, and you were rocking your shaved head, and there was like a group of people there from another country, and they only knew you from the Sucked Out music video. And I remember they were so shocked, thinking that you had gone bald, but you just were just shaving your head. But I'll never forget that. That's my first memory of meeting you, and you telling me, "I'm not bald. I just shave it like this."
Yeah, I think a few people were confused by that.
Yeah.
And I think what happened was, I think the first time I took the clippers to my head, we had been down to Florida to play it was August, and it was super hot down there, and I had, I don't know, kind of a mid-period Beatle wig at the time. But it just kind of, in the heat, man, it felt like a helmet on my head.
It's so humid, too.
I went to Kmart and got a set of clippers, and I mean, I kept it no guard, Shaolin monk style for few years. Yeah,
you rocked that for quite a while. I mean, now obviously, now I know you got your hair back and everything, but yeah, you rocked it for a long time. Because even I remember thinking, is John just lying? Maybe he is bald and he doesn't want to tell us, but you just were choosing to rock it short. I love it.
Just get tired of doing the same thing sometimes.
Oh yeah, no, I think I've had the same haircut since probably 1996. It might be time for me to maybe try the clippers out and see how it goes.
Go ahead, dude. Now's the time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It always grows back. At least that's a good thing.
Everybody's doing it now.
Is that weird though? Because obviously Superdrag, coming out on the Electric deal back in 1996, and I remember that music video. I mean, you couldn't escape it at that time. And is that a weird thing for you? People come up. It's almost like I feel like at that time in music history, having a video that was in that much rotation, people had so many people that saw it. It feels like you should always be that person in that video. Do you still deal with that a little bit these days?
Well, I don't know. It's a weird thing to do something when you're like 21 or 22 years old, and then be always remembered for that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A lot's happened since.
So true.
A couple of bands came and went, and a couple of new bands formed, and all kinds of stuff.
Because how old were you when that song came out? Whenever you guys signed a major label deal, were you like 20, 21 years old?
It was right before my 21st birthday. Yeah, when we signed.
So I bet that was probably a pretty surreal experience being that young.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's kind of a blur, really.
No, I could see that, man. Especially back in those days. I mean, when you signed a major label deal and like in 94, 95, back in those days, I imagine there was probably, notable amount of money and just an excitement that even nowadays, I feel like bands that signed, I have a friend that just signed to Capitol and didn't even get an advance. That's unreal to me.
Yeah, man, it's a weird thing. I mean, the record label machinery was completely upside down and backwards even before all this hit with the pandemic and everything. Compared to what I remembered, But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing now because, how do you put new music out, and what takes the place of live touring? What takes the place of that piece, even for a temporary period of time? For bands like us, we're really not able to tour ever, so it's not so much of a pressing concern for us. But I'm just, I guess, like everybody else, curious to see how it's going to work, and when can we go see a show again, and when can we, stand at a merch booth and talk to people, all the things that you take for granted about doing this.
Oh yeah, the stuff that we never thought. I mean, at least in our lifetime, that would go away. I mean, and I guess the Lees of Memory. You guys were lucky. You played your one show of the year, so you were good before all this happened. But I feel like it's wild too because it's so true. It's like there's so many like I mentioned to my friend. I won't say his name, but this is his one shot, and I feel so terrible for him because when the chopping block comes along, which it will come, he's going to be one of the first to go because it's like, well, we can't even launch this. So it's such an interesting time to have your big break, quote unquote, and then this happens and now you just got to sit at home and do, live stream shows and stuff. I
guess if I was going to say an encouraging thing, it would just be that, the jams are still going to have the same power that they have, today in a couple of months or whenever. And I definitely can relate to the feeling of like, this is the one opportunity I'm going to have to do this thing that I most enjoy, Yeah. But the truth is that opportunity is always there. Whether it's affiliated with a record company or not is a different question. But, it's like if you're a lifer, you just do music. If business is booming, cool. If it's not, cool. You're still the same person on the path following these ideas and trying to finish them all, Deals come and go.
Yeah. I feel like when you're young, you kind of wrap yourself up in your career and it's the mentality that this is all I am. And I think you're right. As you get a little older, you're like, I'm going to put out records still. And especially now it's easier than ever to put out records. So you're absolutely right. So whenever you guys had Sucked Out was such a massive single that was on MTV. And then there was the follow-up video. And I've talked to Tom about this before too, I believe, when he came up here one time. But Destination Ursa Major was a great song and a great video, but it didn't get a lot of MTV play. Do you know why that is exactly?
I really don't, to be honest.
Did somebody piss somebody off at MTV?
Probably. I mean, you got to remember who you're dealing with. I think that was like maybe one of the first times where they wanted a different song.
Really?
We had strong feelings about that song. It gets political,
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it really does. And because you guys, and then it's ironic because you guys, and obviously I know you're friendly with Matt and the Nada Surf stuff, they kind of had the similar thing where it's like you guys had those two big hits that summer and then there was just no more videos. I remember that as being a younger guy and just noticing. I think I did see the Destination Ursa Major video once on like MTV2, but not on actually MTV. And I remember thinking that was strange.
I don't even know if I ever saw it on TV, to be honest.
Was that weird too? I've always wanted to ask you that. I don't think I ever have when you've come up here live in the studio. Was that weird to see yourself on MTV like every 5 minutes for that summer? Because it really was a heavily played video.
Man, I remember the first time I saw it.
How was that?
On TV, just in a hotel room. It was just very strange.
Real life becomes like the movie in a lot of different ways. And then you did Head Trip in Every Key. And I've always heard, I love that record, by the way, man. And it seems like it's definitely like the essential Superdrag record. It kind of seems like that's the fan favorite. Did you guys really spend $1 million on that?
I have no idea.
Out of your pocket?
I really don't. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I've always heard that. I wasn't sure if that was, I'm sure it's probably up there because it was, a major label record, but I've always heard it was $1 million was like the number. So maybe it's just a rumor.
Well, I mean, we sat in Sound City for 3 months. First of all, I have no idea how much that cost, but I don't know. Tom might know the answer to that. Brandon might. One of those guys. I can't really say one way or the other.
It's a great record, man. I mean, it's to me, it's kind of got the same vibe in the sense that it didn't sell as well as the first, and then like Pinkerton for Weezer was the same way. But now here we are, 25 years later, and like Pinkerton is hailed as like this essential record for Weezer, and then Head Trip's kind of like the essential, like everybody has it on vinyl. You know what I mean? It's kind of like time has made it that. It's interesting. Were you guys bummed at the time when it didn't sell as well?
Yeah. Right off the bat, I think the thing that concerned us the most was like they weren't going to keep us on the road for as long as they did the first time. It was one of the things that kind of caused us some concern, even before we knew what the record was going to do eventually. But I think basically it's just a matter of that point in time whether or not you had a video budget, because that was still a huge part of the way they did things.
Did you guys shoot a video for anything off that record?
No, I mean, we talked about it for a long time, and we had some cool ideas for it, and then it just didn't happen. I remember the first time that they came to the studio to listen to Russ, people from the label, like, I mentioned before, we were in there for 3 months. We really didn't see them very often. But I remember when people did start coming through and like listening to Russ, I could see it on their faces that they weren't into it. Wasn't what they had hoped for.
They were just hoping for like straight pop hooks or something.
Man, I honestly really don't know. Nobody ever told me. And, we just did the best we could at the time. Felt like we did what we said we would do. Make the records and write the best songs that we could and, perform them the best that we possibly could and all that kind of thing. And then the thing that's, I would say is definitely overrated is being told how underrated you are for 20 years.
I could see that.
I mean, it's cool. I'm glad that people feel that, people feel indignant about it. Like they were done wrong personally.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. I mean, I'm just that anybody cares that much, I think is wonderful. But, I guess in terms of what they were after, maybe it was a weird album to me. It's not something that I sit around and listen to on a regular basis, but it doesn't seem that weird to me. It's just mostly just guitars and bass and drums. And I mean, there's some mellotrons and some stars and some weird stuff, but I felt like they should have, if they really wanted it to be successful, I think they would have sort of amplified the things about it that made it different, most of what was going on at the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they could have made a 4-minute edit of The Art of Dying and make that the single, with a 28-piece orchestra and backward guitars and guitars and, Tibetan Book of the Dead and the whole deal. Just go for it. The weirdness, the weirdness of it.
Yeah, it's almost like make the part that they find weird, like they could make it normal if they wanted to, make it presentable in some sort of way. It's so true.
Well, or dang, I mean, Pine Away, that could have been a single. How is that too weird to be a single?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Pine Away and like Do the Vampire, both those songs to me sound like straight up Superdrag singles. They're catchy and they have the rock edge and everything.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm still glad that we got to do it. Maybe that's another like old man point of view, but I'm like, yeah, okay, I mean, it didn't sell, but geez, we got to sit in Sound City for 3 months with Jerry Finn and play all his guitars. And, I just think of it more in terms of the experiences of making the recordings, and then also, the thing that still exists and always exists, like that record. It might take it 1,000 years to sell however many they wanted it to sell. and it probably never will, but it exists. That's pretty cool.
No, and that's so true too. I think I don't even know what the percentage of bands to get to that level even is. I mean, even the percentage of bands to get to do like a real tour is probably not as high as it should be. So yeah, I think it's like looking back and the fact that it happened at all is one of the most magical things about it,
And I mean, it was so long ago and I was so young. I mean, it's kind of like another life.
I could see that. And does it make you feel weird whenever you get praise from certain people? For instance, I have 2 pretty high-profile quotes. One of the dudes in Green Day recently said that Superdrag is one of his favorite bands of all time. And Butch Walker told me personally not too long ago to tell you that you are a god to him. So does that kind of feel strange to you to hear those kind of things?
Man, I think he needs to get to church.
I'll tell him.
All kidding aside, no, that's cool, man. Anytime somebody likes your music, I mean, I think it's fantastic, and the fact that they're rich and powerful, that's even better.
Yeah, it's true.
Man, the Green Day dudes, I mean, they took us out on the road years ago, and I mean, I'm pretty sure it's because Billy Joe was a fan of ours, and they were super cool and treated us probably the best of anybody, that we went out and supported, and haven't seen them in a long time. But yeah, man, I got nothing but kind words for those dudes. They treated us very well, and never saw them put on a bad show either. Never saw them phone it in ever. It was always
awesome.
100.
How was the crowd? Did the crowd dig you guys on those kind of shows with them?
Not really. Maybe we didn't look a certain way, or I don't know. Because it was a lot of really young kids, and they were just kind of acting out like what their idea of punk was, and we were kind of doing the same thing, and they didn't really jive so well sometimes. But whatever,
Yeah.
Some people were stoked, some people weren't. it was always interesting.
No, absolutely, man. Talking to John Davis, the Lees of Memory, Superdrag, Epic Ditch solo artist. So the Lees of Memory, when you and Brandon Fisher got together to do that band, I mean, obviously, the thing I love about the Lees of Memory is that you guys kind of, it seems like, just started it for fun, and that kind of snowballed into a band. Is that kind of how it started?
Yeah, that's exactly how it started. Yeah, we didn't even know we were forming a band for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months. And we just kept writing stuff. You know, originally it was Brandon's songwriting that kind of sparked the whole thing, because he had stuff that he wanted to demo. So he brought it down here and we worked on it. And yeah, it was just, we were very excited about the vibe of the recording and the song and the way it turned out. I think it just kind of got us both stoked to write more, so we did. You know, we were sharing ideas back and forth, and it just got to the point where it seemed obvious that we were just kind of writing the same record, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we just... But we didn't want to call it Superdrag because it was just us, you know?
Yeah.
And also, we didn't really want it to be tethered to any of that or judged by any of it, which, of course, it always is judged by Superdrag, no matter what we do. Yeah, you know, just trying to start something new. You know, the smart, like, business move would be to just keep calling it Superdrag forever. And, you know, no matter who was there, just calling it Superdrag. Like, if we really wanted to be, like, crafts and opportunistic, that's probably what we would do. That's just not us. So time went by, we kept writing more and more stuff, and it was like, wow, man, we kind of got to a point where it was like we had more than a record's worth of songs. And I had been sending all that stuff to Nick Raskulinix. You know, he's a super busy dude, so sometimes I wouldn't hear back from him for a while. And then one day he just said, hey, there's a record here. Let's make a record.
Yeah.
and, you know, the rest is history. Here we are. That was, I guess it was 2013 when we made that.
Because I think it was 2014 when it came out, because I just got my job up here. I remember that.
Yeah. You know, in the meantime, I mean, the past 7 years, we just finished mixing our 4th album. One of them was a double album, so we really put together 5 albums worth of songs and then another album's worth of, like, non-LP singles. Since we don't tour or really play live to amount to anything, it's like we only exist on the records. So we just keep making records.
And it seems to be catching on. I think I told you the last time you were live in the studio too, man. It was whatever Record Store Day year it was that you guys released the Soft Places Record Store Day release. I was in St. Louis with my old band playing a Record Store Day thing, and there was a kid in line, and he kept saying, I'm looking for this band called the Lees of Memory. I don't see it anywhere. And I was like, it's spreading to St. Louis.
I love it, man. One record store kid at a time.
Yeah. There you go. It's all it takes sometimes. So are you guys looking to still release the new, because I mean, the mixes you sent me for the new upcoming record, man, I mean, the songs sound amazing. Are you guys thinking about still putting it out in 2020? I mean, I guess the live show thing doesn't really affect you guys because you only do, whenever you guys want to play. So, I mean, are you still thinking to get it out this year?
Definitely. That's the idea. Don't know what the turnaround times will be. Pressing place that we deal with, they're going to start taking orders again, I believe, on May 2nd. I know the lacquer shortage will probably be a factor, the worldwide shortage of, materials. So, all things considered, if at all possible, I'd love to get it out this year. That's the goal. It may be, we're kind of having to look at it and see, I don't know, do you release the music itself right away and let people rock while they're waiting for the records to come, or do you try to keep the whole thing under a blanket? I don't know. I just want people to hear it, man.
Yeah, I'm the same way when it comes to putting out stuff. I feel like it's such a game now of like everyone wants that, you only get that one moment to put it out, and everyone's attention span's so short and all that nonsense. But I'm the same as you. I think just get it out whenever you get it out, and that's how it should be.
We got some cool stuff happening this time with the cover. There's a lot of things about the packaging that are going to be different than anything we've ever done. I feel like some of the things musically are unlike anything we've ever done. And then other things, are a lot like things we've done. So I just try not to overthink it too much and just try to finish every idea and write as many songs as possible, and then just pick the best ones. Usually the weirder the better, in my opinion.
No, I love that, man. I say make it as weird as you possibly can. Last year, I guess it was almost 2 years ago, which is weird to think, whenever you got together with Matt Cause from Not a Surf, and you were at his concert, and you had like this song came to you, and I was still honored, man. You guys asked me to play drums on the song. The song was called We Are in the Wild and We Are Home. And I was just thinking about that song yesterday, dude, because whenever you guys wrote that, I remember thinking how timely it was and how it could never possibly be more timely. But I feel like here we are now in 2020 and the world is even more divided. That song is even more timely. So if anything, it was ahead of its time.
Well, it sure turned out cool, and that, it was just easy as could be, and everybody was so generous, to give us access to the studio, and, Mike and Weston recording everything and making it sound great. And, of course, the drummer that came in was really fantastic and did a great job.
Well, thanks, man.
Oh, man, the guitar solo was one take. I was psyched about that.
Yeah, oh, no, I have it on video. It was great.
If you can get something like that down and without ever hitting black ice, and it just has that feeling, you probably should just leave it. Leave it in.
Yeah, absolutely. That whole night, things just kind of felt like it all came together. And you and Matthew, I mean, obviously, I know there's a friendship there for many years, but you definitely played off well with each other, and just really, I mean, it was one of the easiest songs I've ever seen come together, to be honest. And I feel like you can feel that when you listen to it.
Well, man, it was totally, the whole deal was totally positive, the whole experience, and just everything we were trying to say with the song and the actual making of it and everything. It was, all the energy was like flowing in a good direction.
Yeah.
And we ended up, being able to take what we made from it and help a lot of people out that were in a bad situation, due to natural disasters, things like that, through AmeriCares. So really couldn't have gone any better, I don't think.
Yeah, no, totally, man. What we should have done, though, is we should have sent it to your old Elektra Records reps and been like, you guys thought Head Trip was weird. Check this one out.
Hey, seriously. See how you feel about this.
Yeah, they'd have probably loved it.
Oh, yeah. Then, they probably would have taken credit for all the new ideas.
Absolutely, man. Dude, I really appreciate you calling in tonight and joining me on the Buzz In 2020 series. What's besides putting the record out, do you think, let's say if we can do live shows again by maybe early 2021 or maybe late 2020, do you think Lee's may consider doing a show?
Well, yeah, man. We actually had a couple of things that we were trying to line up for the fall to do. Speaking of Day Trotter, they have like a big 2-day kind of annual music festival that they put together. They invited us to come and they actually talked to us about playing both nights, which I thought would be really interesting because we could play two totally different sets.
Totally.
But man, who knows? I'd like to think that it might still be possible, but if it ends up being until next year and the invitation still stands, we'll go up there next year. I don't know.
It's ironic that the one year you guys were going to do a couple shows, all of a sudden now we can't do shows. That's like the definition of irony.
Well, I do have a couple other records that I'm hoping to get made this year.
Yeah, were you doing another Rectangle Shades, you were saying? I think the last time I saw you, you told me you were doing a new one of those.
We're going to do that with some of the same band members from the Lees in different rhythm section. Jared Reynolds and Lindsey Jameson, who played for Ben Folds. And
oh, cool.
I've played with Jared a bunch over the years. And with Lindsey. Lindsey played in Astronaut Pushers when we were doing that. But just a killer rhythm section with a little bit different groove than when me and Mike do it ourselves. You know? Or even when Yogi played. You know how it is. Just getting different players involved, it just kind of changes the groove a little bit. Then also, Jared and Lindsey and I have been working on another completely different thing with just the three of us. Pretty much with all the jams I have that didn't go with the Lees or didn't go with the Rectangle Shades, there's like this whole other record there. Or at least like a jumping off point, for a whole other record. And that may be the first thing that I do here.
Okay.
From scratch with the new recording setup and everything. So
you're set up at your house to record now?
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I ended up having to finish a bunch of the Lees overdubs here, which was super fun and also like a challenge.
Yeah.
And we did it. It all worked. I got the rig Nick said to get, the mics he said, the interface he said. Basically, I just did exactly what he told me to do, and it all worked. And we got awesome. Everything.
Well, I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with obviously the new leads, but then the rectangle shades. And if you do a new, like whatever you're going to call it, the next thing, that'd be awesome too, man. And I just got one more question for you, dude. I really do appreciate you taking the time to call in tonight. It might be a tricky one, but recently a buddy of mine, we were talking about like music and records and stuff. And he said to me, he was like, music, like live recordings and records are all that we leave behind, because someday you'll be gone and you won't be around to like explain to people, well, this is what you should listen to. This sounds more like me. So is there a certain record that you've been a part of that if the world ended tomorrow, what one record would you want someone to discover and be like, that's John Davis?
Moonshot, baby.
Yeah, right on. I love it, man. It was quick.
It's the best one, straight up.
Man, and from what I've heard, I can definitely agree. I think it might be. So I love that. Right on, dude. Well, man, I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys are all staying safe during the whole quarantine thing, and hopefully the world will get back to normal soon and we can all hang out at a show like old times, dude.
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
Right on, man. Well, I will talk to you soon, dude.
I appreciate you, Andy.